Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. This is PJOP, and every week I drop a new sermon on two wheels where we talk about life, faith, and our identity in Christ. So if you're new here, I'm so glad that you are here. And also, if you've ever struggled with fear, fear about your future, your family, your purpose, or just everyday life, I think this message today might really speak to you. Today, I want to talk about something that grips so many of us, sometimes quietly, sometimes loudly. And that something is fear. But not just fear in general. I want to talk about the kind of fear that keeps you stuck, the kind that keeps you from doing what you were made to do, the kind of fear that holds you back from living freely. Now let me start with a verse, one that's brought me back to center so many times, and it comes from 2 Timothy 1:7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Let that sink in. The fear that so often paralyzes us, that doesn't come from God. Now let me tell you something personal. The biggest fear I live with, and I mean this sincerely, is the fear of the future. I often find myself thinking, what am I gonna do in, 5 years? What happens when I stop being a pastor? Will I find another job? Will I be able to provide for my kids, for their education, their needs, their lives? And the truth is, these fears aren't even based on something happening right now. A lot of the time, everything's okay, but the fear is still there. And it's a fear that just comes over me. It grips me. It won't let me go. It clouds my thinking. It steals my peace. It's heavy. And hey, if you've ever felt like that too, you're not alone. And if this message is already speaking to you, would you mind tapping that like button? And if you want to hear more honest reflections like this, hit that subscribe button as well and ride with me through life and faith. So what is this fear? This is what Paul calls in 2 Timothy the spirit of fear. The kind of fear that doesn't come from God, but that creeps in and tries to define us. Now, here's something really important though. The Bible actually talks about two types of fears, and we need to be careful not to confuse them. First, there's the spirit of fear, the one that's rooted in anxiety, insecurity, and dread. That's the fear that holds us back. But then there's another kind of fear, the fear of the Lord. This is the fear that the Bible encourages. It's not terror, it's not panic, it's awe, reverence, worship. Proverbs 9:10 says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. It's the kind of fear that doesn't just push us away from God. It actually draws us closer. And here's what I've learned. When you have a right fear of the Lord, you stop fearing everything else, because suddenly your perspective shifts. You're not the center anymore. God is. You're not trying to control everything. You're trusting the one who already does. And that kind of fear, it actually leads us to freedom and not the fear that keeps us down. But here's the reality. Most people in the world are living every single day gripped by fear. Fear is the greatest hindrance to people living the lives that they are meant to live. It's really sad when you think about it. People don't chase their dreams because of fear. They don't walk in freedom because of fear. They don't step out in faith because of fear. Fear of failure, fear of being judged, fear of not having enough money, fear of being compared to others, fear of being looked down upon. And the truth is, most of those fears have no real substance, but they still paralyze us. See, that's the spirit of fear. It lies, it exaggerates, it keeps you stuck. But we're not called to live with that kind of fear. We're called to live with the fear of the Lord. And that kind of fear liberates us. It gives us peace because God is in control. Hope because we're part of His story. Joy because we were made to worship Him freely. Now, I want to say something that might be hard for some of us to hear, but it's true. There is a fear that people should have. It's the fear of living in disobedience to God, the fear of being separated from Him, the fear of rejecting Jesus and facing the eternal consequences of that. That's not fear-mongering, it's just biblical reality. But here's the hope. When we put our faith in Jesus, there is no fear. The fear is replaced with peace. That condemnation is replaced with grace. We are no longer slaves to fear. We are beloved children of God. Now, this is one of the reasons I love biking so much, because when I'm out here riding through the city or through God's creation, I feel free. It's like I can breathe again. I get to pray, I reflect, I talk to God, and I just enjoy His presence. And no, I don't close my eyes while I ride, but I do open my heart. I take in the sights, the sounds, the people, the beauty of this world. And you know what it does? It reminds me to be in awe of God, to hear Him rightly, to worship Him fully, and to trust Him completely. So friends, let me ask you, what's the fear that's been gripping your heart lately? Is it the fear of the future? Fear of not being enough? Fear of people, or what people think? Whatever it is, I want to tell you, you don't need to have to live under that fear anymore. That spirit is not from God. God has given you power to face each day with courage. God has given you love to ground you and to set you free. God has given you a sound mind to walk in peace and clarity. So today, let's stop living in fear. Let's start living in awe of God. And let's walk or ride in the freedom that comes from Jesus Christ. If this message encouraged you guys today, would you let me know in the comments? What fear are you letting go of today? And if you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe. Let's keep riding together toward truth, purpose, and the joy that comes when we live with no fear, except the fear of the Lord. All right? So see you guys next time, and grace and peace to you.